It's time for your number one NAIA men's basketball podcast to begin, as the Road to Muni podcast with Junior and Coach Lubbers begins now.
Hello, NAIA Hoops Nation, and welcome to another episode of the Road to Muni podcast. As always, we're with Coach Lubbers, and I am Junior, and we are going to recap another great week of NAIA basketball and talk a little bit about the Cactus Classic coming up this week. But Coach, it was another one of those weeks where we're kind of full steam ahead in the conference play. Kind of the last big week before finals week, and I think we're kind of getting to that. We kind of saw that a little bit. I always feel like this is a big upset week. A little bit into next week during finals week, so a little bit of upsets as people minds start wandering off a little bit. I know you probably coached a little bit of that too. As a coach, you're not just coaching, the basketball and games. You're also trying to keep kids mentally on campus, right?
Yeah, and I mean, depending on your institution as well, I mean, that finals week can be a load on kids. So there's the fatigue factor as well. So sometimes it's mind wandering and sometimes it's mind in the right place.
Yes.
And it's just a byproduct of where you're at. And so, yeah, those games are also great opportunities. We used to talk about that all the time. This is an opportunity for you to be more mentally locked in than the other side, or you to take care of your body and your stuff more than the other side. So it's just another ingredient. Everybody has to deal with it at some point when you're coaching college hoops. You got to navigate holidays. You got to navigate exams when you're a basketball coach, and it is what it is. So everyone's dealing with it at some level, and those that are able to navigate it well can oftentimes maybe pick up a win or two they wouldn't normally have gotten, or really push away from the pack a little bit as you go into break.
Well, I just think it's and we can talk about it more, but and I'm sure we will. But I just think it's on the backside of that too. Once you get through this week, if for those kids that are listening to this, like just get through the week, because then you got to be a pro for a month, or 3 weeks, because yeah, you may go home for a little bit, but then once you get back, back to campus, like you gotta live life as a pro. You gotta get up, you gotta work out, you gotta go basketball, you gotta eat, and then you gotta be, you don't have to go to classes until classes start back up in January, and that's basically as close as a pro as you're gonna live for until you get out of school. So I just think it's always a cool time of year. But I know this finals week is definitely tough on a lot of kids. Like you said, mentally and physically sometimes, just to get through. And first and foremost, good luck to everybody on finals. I know it's a tough week. Like you said, it can be grueling. Especially if you have a full course load. Taking 5 to 6 classes worth of finals is not a very easy task for anybody. So.
That's not easy for just students, right?
Yep.
When you add in 20 plus hours a week of hoops and film and everything else that goes into it. I know a lot of coaches also back off the throttle of practices a little bit if they can. If you're normally going 2 hours, maybe go an hour and a half or an hour. Try to really navigate that well with the kids, because there's no sense in burning them out. But it's interesting. The other thing that's going to come up here over the next few weeks too is, right, you got roster transitions. So the old eligibility report comes out, and then you also have, we've been sitting on this guy for a semester, and here he is, everybody. And we do know that there's a few of those out there, but there's always some curveballs that semester in the good old NAIA, that's kind of part of what makes it fun too. You roll out there that first game after break, and it's like, oh, I didn't know they had that guy. Where'd he come from? So you got to figure it out.
Well, and you have a mix, and it's always unique about NAIA, right? Because some people, don't have those kids on the roster, and some of them do. Some kids, Indiana Wesleyan's one of them. We have Bright Carey, who is an Antelope Valley transfer. Didn't play at Antelope Valley, but was at Antelope Valley. Really good 6'8" player. That's at Indiana Wesleyan. He's on the roster. They're not trying to hide it. But he becomes eligible here in the next couple week, probably once the semester's over and the grades are back. He'll be playing for them. I'm sure that I think they make a trip here maybe to I can't remember, but like there's people that will have those kids on the roster, and then there's other people that that they've been sitting there the semester and nobody knows about them, and all of a sudden they're on the roster. So, and then there's people that aren't even there. The unique part about the NAI is that kids can be eligible that semester that were not on campus at all for a semester. And I know that from several conversations I've had with coaches these last couple of weeks, not only are there kids out there that are no longer part of programs, but there are definitely a lot of coaches that are in search of kids too. So always a unique time of year in the NEI. You never know what you're going to get, but in the last couple of years, I don't know that we have seen a dramatic change that has really impacted the scene of the NEI, but it has happened before, so we'll kind of always be on the lookout for that. But as far as games go, and not just games, but maybe just teams, coach, that we can talk about. I know you and I texted back and forth quite a bit. A Zula team, Xavier team that I think is playing really good basketball now. They lost their first two games of the season and has been rocking and rolling since. Got a win over LSU Alexandria, handed them their first loss of the season. Turned around and went to LSU Shreveport this week and got a big win. They're I know you have a lot of respect
Yeah.
for that, not just for that program, but yeah, I mean, I don't know that we ever thought that they wouldn't figure it out, but they're starting to figure it out, and they're back to playing, Xavier defense and
Yeah.
playing good basketball.
Top three teams in that league, I think, are all certainly tournament teams, tournament worthy teams, and maybe more, right? But those three for sure. And it'll be really interesting to see how that shakes out. Our Lady of the Lake still playing well. I mean, they got the one loss, but still playing well. And then LSUA for sure. So top of that league is really fun to watch, and has been fun to watch all
Yeah.
year. And it's good to see Xavier starting to turn the heat up a little bit and get it going this time of year.
Yeah, yep. And another team that, and actually, this is kind of a twofold question, or not question, but twofold
Yeah.
one I want to talk about. And we have two programs, and we're going to have the ARC ratings and everything come out, as we're taping on Sunday, but this will be Monday when these all come out. And I'm actually kind of interested to see teams like UC Merced and um, Jamestown. They're two teams that are going to be transitioning into Division Two next year, and so they're
Yeah.
playing Division Two opponents, a lot of them, and
Yeah.
they're beating Division Two opponents. And then we saw UC Merced get a win over number 7 Masters pretty handily, actually, this past week. Playing really good basketball. They've won now 6 in a row. One of the best defensive teams in the country right now. If you look at their defensive metrics, they are completely shutting people down. They had a chance to beat Montana Tech. Their entire until they beat Lincoln on Saturday, their entire schedule was all D2 or ranked NEI opponents. So just
Yeah.
kind of interested to see, teams like Jamestown and them, what their metrics look like as far as just the RPI and strength of schedule, just because of their schedule has been the way it has as they prepare to go to the next into Division Two next year, and their
Yeah.
schedule isn't maybe your typical NEI schedule.
Yeah. I think sitting in that Raiders seat, one of the things you want to maybe do or think about doing is just looking at those head to heads when they have played NAIs, right? What's those
Yeah,
results been? And they have a couple where, they got the one good win, right? But they also have a few that jump off the page and say, yeah, that's, Merced in particular, right? You jump off the page and say, yeah, there's some head to head there with some of the NAIs that, but, that's one way you can look at it. And, but yeah, that RPI rating is a factor in national tournament selection. So it's, have to kind of see how people are perceived with that. And, we still have a couple good non-conference matchups coming up still too, right? I mean, not just at the classics, but I think there's some that, I noticed that are coming up this week that will be interesting to see, and they're really good resume builder
yeah,
opportunities, like a Lord's team going on the road to IWU, and Indiana Wesleyan obviously is off to a little bit slower start than they're traditionally used to in overall and in the league. However, going over there to that arena for Lords is a great opportunity to get a good win on the road. Morningside's a team that's got another good opportunity this week. I think they got Northwestern this week. So those are a couple for me that, a couple teams too, not just the two you highlighted, but there's other teams too where you got these last opportunities to get out of league, eyeball type movement that may or may not impact seeding at the end of the day, but it's these last opportunities. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting. All those things are interesting, and every little win helps. So some of these are big opportunities. I guess the Morningside one's a conference one, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and I just think it's and looking all across and maybe I'm a little off on this, but I feel like there's just a lot of parity this year as you look,
Yeah.
and maybe not all the way across the board, but like if you look at all the conferences, I mean, you look at the Crossroads League, for example, Indiana Wesleyan certainly has start off slow, but they got a big win against Spring Arbor on Saturday. But in the mix because everybody else is losing too, you look at the WAC, Cornerstone, or Indiana Tech went to Cornerstone and then knocked off Cornerstone, and they're 5-0 in the league play. But seems like everybody in that league is or the top of that league is everybody's within a game. And just if you look all the way across the board in the standings, like um,
Well,
nobody, yeah, no,
KCAC, another example, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's just
yeah,
confusion abounds in the KCAC. Who's who? What's what? I mean,
yeah,
that's a league I can't really put my thumb on that league. Mid South has got some interesting dynamics. I mean, Cumberland starts off whatever 9-0, now they lost four in a row. I mean, what does
yeah,
that mean? So there's a lot of and I think it's a good thing nationally speaking that there's that much parity. I really do. I think our games just continues to elevate. But it does make you scratch your head a little bit as you're just looking at some of these early season results.
yeah. And I just think that that's the thing right there. You hit it on the head right there. I think you by now we kind of have. Not just in conferences, but even nationally, we have some teams that have kind of started to separate themselves, and I just feel like we haven't really seen a lot of that yet, which is both fun and also kind of crazy. It's just because now you
Yeah.
you may see a team that maybe comes from the middle of the pack and starts to make themselves known. And like you said, there's still plenty of opportunities for some of these teams to get some big wins and catapult themselves into relevance. Maybe relevance is a bad word, because obviously everybody's relevant, but there's still plenty of chances for a lot of teams where maybe this time of year, especially at the break in these next 2 weeks, there's some teams that have really put themselves behind the eight ball with some of their losses. And this year, it just seems like there's a lot of people that have started to lose already. And it's kind of brought everybody back to the pack where nobody's really out, quote unquote, out of it yet, which is going to make for a fun second semester, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it is a long conference run, yet there's still a ton of basketball to be played
Yeah.
this month, January, February, and boy, every one of those conference wins counts the same. So it doesn't really matter, nationally speaking, it might matter a little bit, but inside of your conference play, jockeying for the conference title, seeding in conference tournament, it a win is a win. There's no power rankings inside the conference. I mean, you beat the last place team counts the same as the first place team. What we'll see sometimes on a week is, hey, on a Wednesday night, maybe the, first place team beats the second place team, and it's a huge right. I think ahead to maybe like a Dort Northwestern, right? There's a huge undefeated huge rivalry, and then oh, whoops, on 2 nights later we got to play the fifth place team, and we're still thinking about the win we had the other night, and you end up dropping one you shouldn't. Well, guess what? It really didn't matter what name of those teams were. You ended the
Yeah.
week 1-1. That's the interesting dynamic in conference play is it doesn't matter what the team names are. It's all about stacking up wins. I've always thought if you win at home and you can add a minimum split on the road, you probably got a shot to put yourself in a good spot. So
Yeah.
it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Some of these other leagues that are so insulated because of how many conference games they play, um, they're really going to get hammered for the one or two non-conference games they played, or they can really hang their hat on them. Right? There's a lot of risk reward in those couple non-conference. Think about teams with CCAC places like
Yep.
that, where if you didn't get one or two good non-conference wins, winning your league's probably not going to mean nearly as much as some of these other ones. So
Yeah, yeah, and then vice versa. I'm eager to see kind of what the analytics say. A team like or a conference like the Sooner Athletic Conference, who actually did pick up some big non-conference wins, but now they're all just kind of beating on each other again, and we'll see what they kind of or how they come out of it this week as well, because that'll kind of shape their season too, moving forward, just to kind of see what some of these team, and not that the first analytical, report is, the end all be all either, but at least you get a little bit of picture of moving forward of kind of where teams stand, and it's always just fun to kind of look at that first one, and from there we'll be able to at least put our first bracketology together, and then people can kind of have an idea, of kind of where things are
Yeah.
at. So
Yeah. No, gonna be fun. Fun few weeks here in that Cactus Classic, like you said. There's some really cool matchups in that this week, and a new poll comes out this week, top 25. We'll see what that looks like. And we're gonna have there's a couple teams that are gonna move big shifts in there. I think there's a few teams that are gonna go both directions, right? A couple that are really gonna plummet pretty hard out of that, and then a few that are gonna. That's the other thing that happens, right? By way of head-to-head matchups, you can't help as when you're in that Raider seat. If I know Team A has played Team B and they beat them, in particular if they beat them at their place, I'm not quite sure how you can put them, all things being equal, above the other one. If the rest of their record is pretty comprehensive, it's not a fluke win, right? So, going to be pretty hard to see a Bethel team not rise above a little bit. Cumberland's going to drop quite a bit, right? If out. Would be likely for sure. They're going to be out, but there's going to be a lot of movement, and again, that doesn't mean anything relative to the global, the national landscape. But seeing that RPI come out this week will be interesting as well, and we'll go from there.
Yep, and probably a good time of year to move down if you're going to move down, because you got plenty of time to still move up. Yeah, so if you are a team that's sliding in the wrong direction, at least you have plenty of time to right the ship. So. But yeah, we talked about the Cactus Classic a little bit, and we'll go ahead and another team that's out west. Talk a little bit about Rocky Mountain basketball too with Coach Dreikosen from Rocky Mountain. Joining us on the podcast today is Rocky Mountain head coach Bill Dreikosen. Coach, welcome to the podcast. I know we're going to talk a little bit of Rocky Mountain hoops and a little bit of Cactus Classic today.
Oh man, that's exciting! Yeah, we're looking forward to going out and getting in some warm weather down in Arizona here next week.
Well, before you get out there, I know you guys are off to another good start to the season. Starting off at 5-1. Your only loss is a team that's going to actually be joining you guys out there, down there, I should say, in Arizona. Arizona Christian, who's playing some good basketball themselves. But since then, you guys have rifled off 4 wins in a row. I know you guys have another one before you get down there, which you've already knocked off your rivals, D2 Montana State Billings, but you got another one with them this week before you head down there. You want to maybe talk about your schedule so far, and then the rivalry with Billings and stuff, and before you get down there, what that matchup's like.
Yeah, well, definitely that's a long-standing rivalry. For anybody who's listening, the older you are, the more you can remember it as the Eastern Rocky rivalry. Now it's called MSU Billings, and it's a really, there's not too many of these old rivalries where you're in town. I know out at College of Idaho and Northwest Nazarene have one going, and we got one, and there's other ones I know, but they're pretty unique, and they're pretty fun. They're exciting. It's been some really good games recently when we played MSUB, so that's been fun. We ended up getting them in a close game over at their place to a real big crowd, and then we play them coming up on Tuesday, and they've been playing really good basketball. They haven't lost since we beat them a month ago, so I know they'll be laying for us when they show up here on Tuesday. But it should be another great game. We look forward to it. And non-conference wise, it's been fun. It's been kind of an interesting schedule. Like, the only person I can blame is myself, I guess. We'll play a couple games, and then we got 10 days off or 14 days off. We had one game get forfeit. It's going to be forfeited, canceled. So that hurt us this last week. But we've been playing a little bit, and then we're off, and we're playing a little bit. But after we start on Tuesday, we'll have 4 games, and in 7 days. So that'll be more like national tournament type play there. So we're excited about that. But we've went up, like you said, against Arizona Christian. And Jeff always has a good team. That was a really good early season matchup. It was a really close game for the most throughout. They got away from us a little bit down the stretch, but obviously they got a nice team, and we're still trying to find ourselves a little bit with all the new faces that we have. But we've rattled off, like you said, some victories in a row, and I feel like we're finally starting to kind of get all the newcomers and the different guys, in the right seats, and they're really playing hard and they're playing together, and I think we continue to grow each game. So I'm excited to see where they can continue to get. We were out in Dickinson at a Thanksgiving tournament, played Dickinson State and Valley City State, which are both veteran teams this year, and we ended up getting both them in tight victory. So that was a good couple of road and neutral site games right over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, both of those two off to good starts. I know Dickinson always plays tough schedule early, so the record isn't always indicative of what they're of how good they actually are. But I think they're another team that playing in the North Star this year. I'm interested to see how they do when they start playing in the North Star games, and should be a good team. They're a veteran group. You're right on that one as well. But you want to. I know you've technically won 5 games in a row with that Billings game being an exhibition game, but is this one this week? Is this an exhibition game too, where you guys play? Is this one for real?
Well, we can exhibition it or not, so that's yet to be determined, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's always that in-town rivalry game and that kind of thing. But yeah, either which way, I don't change anything when I play them. But like you say, the stats don't show up the same. But if I'm playing an exhibition or not, we're trying to go out there and win, and we're gonna play with our best group and go out and play it from start to finish.
Yeah, and you talked about some of your new faces that you got coming in and coming back or coming into your team this year. I know one of your old faces back is a veteran guard for you, and Jesse Owens, who's been pretty good for you. You want to talk about your squad a little bit?
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely Jesse. He's one of those that everybody would love to coach, and he's one of those guys that night in and night out, he's going to give you his best. He's going to be ready. He's going to be focused. He's going to do whatever he can do to help the team win. And even this year, a little bit, we've got quite a few new faces and quite a few guys that can score the basketball in a variety of different ways, and he's I feel like a couple of times just kind of taking a step back and just, like, hey, we need to get this guy going or that guy going, and he hasn't forced the issue, but he hit a couple big shots, a big three down in Dickinson against Valley City late, and helped us win that game. But yeah, he's one of those guys that you just love having out there because he can make a big play at any moment. But I think he understands and realizes we got lots of different pieces on this team, and it's not a matter of who scores; it's is that we score and that we get the win, however that is. So I'm looking forward to him captaining the ship still, and taking us into this big stretch of games. But yeah, lots of good newcomers too. We're not a young team; we're not really an old team. We just kind of got a lot of new faces mixed in with like you said, a few veterans that have been in the program for a few years. But we had a kid out of Alaska, Spencer Colton, that joined us last spring and is now playing at the guard spot for us. And he played a couple of years at LC State. And he played in the NWAC, and so he was a COVID kid. So those things, help to have guys who've been around a little bit from that standpoint. We picked up a couple of really nice players out of California. I've always had quite a few kids out of California, and we've had different people, and we got Omari Nesbitt and Jalen Lee, which are two very good pickups for us out of California, junior college, and have done an outstanding job for us here early, and just great people. And we picked up Carter McCoy, a 6'5" kid out of Washington, played at Lower Columbia Community College out in the NWAC also. And he's just one of those guys that, you know, if you just look out there, he doesn't take a lot of shots and he doesn't dribble the ball a lot, but by the end of the game, he's got, 7, 8, 9, 10 rebounds. He shoots you 50, 60% from the field. He gets a couple blocks. He always makes up for everybody else on defense, takes the toughest guy every night. He's one of those guys that every coach just loves to coach, and just makes your team better every single day. And we picked up, kind of in a roundabout way, a D1 transfer in Royce Robinson. He's an area kid that I recruited hard out of high school. He's from Lewistown, Montana, and he was at Montana State Bozeman last year, and then ended up coming here for this year. And he's another one that's a dynamic player, 6'5" guard, and can do a lot of different things for us, and also just wants to go out there and win. So that's a variety of the newcomers and different guys that we have brought in that have been doing quite a bit of the playing for us. Got AJ Wilson played a lot of minutes for us last year, and a little bit different role this year. Kid out of Miami Gardens, Florida, and doing a really good job. Shoots the ball extremely well. A tough physical guard for us. And then we got a couple of freshmen that are red shirt freshmen, Kate Erickson and Makai Jordan, who were in our program last year, and they've came in and played key moments and had some real success for us. So and there's a couple other guys on there that have played other minutes. Cameron Quinnell, a kid out of New Zealand, and Drew Bowman's came in and done some good jobs, a true freshman. But so I could keep going. Seems like I just named like 14 guys, but all those guys can play. We're very fortunate. Just a really fun group.
Coach, how do you, with that many new faces, and like you said, they're not old, they're not young, they're just new, and I think that's become a common theme, right, in college hoops, probably across the country, all levels. So how do you, in your program, any one or two things that you think you guys do really well to help acclimate that many new faces to what you're doing, to your system, to just your way of being as a culture and all those kinds of things?
Yeah. Well, I think really the biggest piece, Kevin, in that, and God's been good to me. First of all, if you recruit great people that are good players, I just think the adjustments and the egos and the figuring out what your role is within the team and not worrying about who gets the credit is going to go a lot better. You can bring in a lot of talent, but if the character's not there, you could win some games, but it's a lot harder as far as getting them in the right seats and so on. So I got to give a testament to, the Lord for helping bring these people in and put them in our path and on our team, because they are unbelievable people. And I don't just say that. I'm very, very fortunate. I've coached a lot of teams, and this one is a special one in that sense.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's always unique. Just your guys' whole dynamic out in your area, not just recruiting wise, but scheduling wise too. Just it's always interesting talking to all the coaches up in your area, because one, I know it's hard to schedule. It gets a little bit easier for you guys next year, as you guys, I know the Frontier's growing. Adding some teams in there, and you won't have to schedule as many teams or as many non-conference games. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I know you won't have to play everybody 3 times. It sounds like, is that correct?
Yeah.
I know that's always
correct.
the uniqueness of the Frontier is you guys have the I guess I can say this. It's safe to say that maybe the craziest schedule in the NEI as far as regular season. You guys play everybody 3 times, and it's it's a grind. And every league's a little bit different. And when you say grind, your guys' grind, it consists of playing everybody 3 times in the regular season, a possible 4th time in the conference tournament. And it's just a unique setup. The last year of that, as we add some teams from the North Star coming in next year. But you want to maybe, before we jump into the Cactus a little bit, you want to talk about maybe that setup, and just kind of educate some of the people that maybe new to listening to our podcast, and haven't heard you in the past, or heard some of the coaches in the past, just about the craziness of the frontier.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. There's a lot of history in that. I've been fortunate enough, uh, 30 plus years ago to play in it. And back when I played, we only had 5 teams, and we played each other 4 times. You'd go play back to back Friday, Saturday. You'd go to Northern and play Friday, Saturday. Then they'd come to your place and play you Friday, Saturday. And, so playing, and then, of course, nobody wants to do that these days. And now we are playing each other 3 times. And so it's difficult, but especially in a league where there's no easy games. If you're like, oh man, well, I'm probably going to get 3 wins against that team, that would be different. But in our league, there's just no nights off, and but that's okay. It does make it, competitive. I think that the toughest thing I always say is to get out of the Frontier Conference. It's not like it's going to be easy when you do get out, but the toughest thing is to actually get out of the Frontier Conference. If you do that, I feel like you got a good chance. And, I think our league has proven that over years. Just, you're going to match up well. You're not going to go into a game and be like, we never really played a tough team like this before. Now, then you're going to have to play well at the national level to win any game. We all know that. But, yeah, so it's going to be exciting, I think, for our league to expand to 12 teams. We'll have 22 conference games after this, and it'll only be playing each other 2 times. So that will be great. We're looking forward to that. And only having to schedule 6 non-conference games will be, it'll be definitely different. But, then you add all those teams into our league, we're going to have to travel a long ways to play non-conference games, So anybody that wants to come out to Rocky, we'd love to have you out next year, and come play in the friendly confines of the Fortin Center. It's a great place. So, but no, exciting, and that will be great. We'll choose some neat spots to take our guys, hopefully over the next year, since we can be a little bit more strategic in how we do that part.
Yeah, and one of the unique places you've been going to roughly about 10 years now, and hopefully that's not up in jeopardy now. We'll see next year. But the Cactus Classic, it's another reason why we brought you on. It's always a unique classic, just in the sense that, you know, you could call it the Battle of the West, I guess. I know there's been some teams that have come from elsewhere, but a lot of it's the Frontier, the GSAC, and the Cowpack usually is what makes up a lot of the teams from the Cactus Classic. But yeah, I mean, out of the 10 teams, I think there's 10 guys teams this year. There's 3 top 10 teams or current three top 10 current teams, and then also you guys are receiving votes right now. So there's no out of the 10 teams, 10 guys teams, there's no messing around in this scheduling right now. And I know, just looking through some of the schedule here, I know starts Friday, December 13th. I know from the guys and girls schedule, it goes all the way through Saturday, December 21st. But we're gonna get 2 top 5 or top. We'll see what the new rankings come out this week, obviously. But we're gonna potentially get top 5 matchups here with Arizona Christian and Montana Tech, and then Montana Tech Masters. Which should be a lot of fun. You guys gonna get to play a tournament team from last year in Ottawa, who's been relatively pretty good every year. I know they got a new coaching staff over there, so should be a lot of fun. And then you got teams like Benue Mesa, and then a lot of teams from your guys' league and stuff that it's down there. Just a unique blend of teams, and always fun classic to watch from a fan's perspective, but also from you guys. I know from running it to too. I know that you guys, and I know you're going to talk about it too, but it's always cool because you guys have a lot of schools that I know you guys at Rocky put it on, but then I know you have people that help put it on from a standpoint of stats, and then you guys have people that help out with video. It's just kind of a cool how everybody comes together to kind of put this together here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really became kind of a unique tournament in the sense that from Montana sides anyway, like we'll get, there's a lot of people that move out of Montana when they get a little older and they move down to Arizona, and over the years, you'd just be amazed at how many people like, hey, we're going to come over there and watch you guys. They start hearing that we're playing over at Chandler Gilbert, and they just show up there. Whether they played at Rocky or Providence or Northern or Carroll or wherever, it's been pretty cool for alumni and fans and different people from that standpoint. And I know all the Arizona schools that are near there that are in the GSAC and so on. They've loved it too because they get an opportunity. So, to play close to home and yeah, we've had a lot of those teams from the West and, all the way over to California with the GSAC teams, obviously with the Masters and Hope's been over before. And we've had some really good Midwest teams and Indiana teams. And, every year somebody's calling and wanting to get into it, and I don't know. I mean, I know D2, and I'm not sure, I don't pay a lot of attention to D1, but they have those crossover tournaments or the different things. I'd like to see more of that in the NEI. I know, it's going to be a little bit different, like you said, for us, because now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we only got 6 non-conference games. Well, yeah, we only got 6, but I'd still rather see us play 4 of them, against different crossroad conference teams. I mean, I think that's what it's all about. I used to take my kids out to Chicago and different places. I played, Al Brule out there back in the day and different things. I think I mentioned that last time I was on the podcast or whatever. But that's really what it's about. Get these good teams. Like, let's don't just wait till national tournaments and national playoffs before these great teams. I know there's other ones. The Bevo Francis, I'm going to go on. We got a committee meeting for that tonight. John McCarthy does such an awesome job, and they got that. They got the small college basketball tournament too. I want to check into that because I think those things are awesome. Those are great
Yeah.
things, and that's what we want with the Cactus Classic. And yeah, you mentioned some of the matchups. I mean, Montana Tech has been so good for so long there. Adam's been doing such a great job. That's going to be a couple of great games between them and Masters and them and Arizona Christian. And then we get to watch those games a lot. That's what's cool. You can see them on the line and stuff, but it's awesome to go to the game and really see it. I mean, there's some national tournament games always every year. I know last year, that Masters game that we have, I don't know if I've been involved in a game like that. I mean, we were fortunate to come out on the right end, but I mean, that was just an amazing game, just stuff like that. So, that stuff's pretty cool. And we do have a lot of people, like you said, that pitch in. I mean, our SID, Brandon Stinson, he's down there for the whole week with men and women. We got athletic trainers that, help out and, I'll help these guys. And, Providence brings a lot of stat crew. JC does a great job in bringing people down. And then, of course, Silsby, who is the men's coach at Chandler Gilbert Community College, used to be in our league. It wouldn't be possible without them. So, they help put it on, and we, help video all the games, just all that stuff. And then Steve Goodman helps us with the referees, gets all them in there. So it's a group effort. It's certainly not just me or just JC. We're the 2 programs that have been running it. And but on the other hand, there's just a lot that goes into it as far as a lot of other people that are pitching in and helping. But you guys are a big piece too. Just everything you guys do, and you promote it, and get people watching online, and I think those are the neat things for the kids.
Yeah, I think ever since we've been watching it. Well, first off, let me go off what you just said. That your guys' game with Masters last year, I think I was worn out just watching that game. So it was I don't remember what the final score ended up being, but I just remember watching that game and Yeah, it was pure madness. But I feel like there's a game like that almost every year down there. So,
Yeah.
but that's also what makes these classics so much fun because not saying that these ones out west aren't maybe some matchups we don't see because a lot of you guys may be matched up in the similar quads and stuff in tournament play and stuff. But it's just always cool to see some of these games that you may not see till tournament time. Like you said, a lot of these games are tournament type games and tournament type feels. And a lot of the teams that are in the Cactus Classic have made deep runs in the tournament. So it's always cool. It's kind of like almost like a tournament showcase. It's like
Yeah.
about or a preview of a national tournament, if you will. So
No doubt. Yeah, I think, and again, I think I mentioned that maybe, I don't know if it was last year or whatever, but I mean, the neat thing is see different styles. Like your conference, there's always something about everybody's conference that, well, if you play in this conference, you got to have a big guy or you got to have, really good shooters or whatever. And, or this conference really presses a lot. They pick you up full court or whatever. And by these crossroad type things and these classics like this where they're a little bigger and you get some teams from different areas playing against each other. I just think that's the cool thing because then well, hey, we've seen that now. We know what to expect if we go up against something like that. So yeah, I just think those things are very very great experience for the kids and for the coaching staff and that's really what it is about, making things that the kids will always remember and playing good competition and good tournaments like that.
Well, and you picked a good spot to have it. I mean, nobody's complaining about going to Arizona in December, right? I mean, let's
No,
let's all
maybe.
get serious. Your SID, I know he does a lot of work and everything, but to
Yeah.
be down there the whole week. I mean, I thought it
Yeah.
took 2 weeks to plan that thing out. He might, that's next year's probably gonna be his request for 2 weeks down there. But
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
no, you know what I mean? You gotta stay a
yeah,
few extra days. Now, when you guys are down there, were you doing anything fun? I mean, go to a Suns game? Do you get outside? What do you guys? What do some of the teams
yeah,
do to just enjoy themselves and cut loose a little bit while they're down there? 'Cause
yeah, yeah.
that's the fun part of some of those too, right? Is getting out doing some team building stuff.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And we always try to, get to go to one thing. I think this year we're going to hit a Suns game on Sunday, I think, the way it worked out. And so that part is great. And then maybe, hit a Top Golf or something
Yeah.
like that. Just getting them out, like you said, and the team building stuff and spending time off the court. Of course, you got to go to Canes and BJ's and places like that. But
And I will say for any hoops coach out there that's ever taken his squad golfing, or even to go like to a batting cage or something, you will
yeah,
find that some of the most athletic dudes in the world have no idea how to swing it. Like Charles Barkley style on the golf club, right?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
it's ugly at times. So
yeah.
that's why you get a little humble pie in there too. Sometimes that guy steps up and he couldn't, he can't swing and chew gum at the same time. It's just baffling to me, but it's pretty fun to watch too and get some good ribbing and good joking going with your guys too.
Oh, yes, it is. It's so fun. And yeah, that's really what it's all about. They don't get those opportunities all the time and uh, building those strong relationships, doing those things. And that's things they'll always remember. And like you said, the thing from the trip they might remember the most is when somebody whiffed the ball
Yes,
and it dribbled
for
off
sure.
the edge
What was the
or
score again?
whatever.
I don't know, but Josh
Yeah,
can't swing a golf club. We did
we,
find that out.
we did find that out. And then, you know, another guy steps up here, you didn't think, oh, he's not the most athletic guy on the
Yeah,
team. And I mean, he just smacks it down the middle every time.
it's all that stuff. Golf, bowling, batting
Yeah,
cages. I mean, you throw it out there. It's you got to
yeah,
test the waters with you guys, that stuff. So I'm glad you
yeah.
make it a little fun too. I'm sure the other teams do stuff too, but I mean,
They
for
do.
coaches that
Yeah,
are thinking
yeah,
about doing these tournaments, there's the basketball side of it, but there's also
Yeah.
just the team side of it, the fun side of it, and the small college hoops experience side of it. That you can't replicate that anywhere else. So I think that
no,
kind of thing is fun. I mean, we might not have the Maui Classic or anything, but we got some pretty fun opportunities for NAIA teams across the country to get into some great classics and really fun locations. And I just always encourage that from a scheduling standpoint if you can make it work.
yeah, yeah. And that's what I try to tell coaches. I know, oh, you got to fundraise sometimes or do this, that, but I go, well, it's always going to be worth it. It's always going to be worth it. And, everything down there, I'm different than some people. I've played, like I said, in a lot of areas and a lot of big cities, but I don't like playing in certain places where you got to drive all over and takes you
Yeah.
45 minutes to get to the gym, and then it's not that nice of a venue, and nothing, going here. We're 10 minutes from anywhere, and it's just such a perfect location. I mean, I've really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always a good time for everybody involved, I'm sure. And I know we'll let you get going. We didn't even get to bring up year two with you and the relationship with your assistant, Coach Steve Keller. Always interesting conversation with that. So we'll have to bring you back on later on, or
Yeah.
we've even talked about with Brandon maybe. Doing something at the tournament this year too. So we'll see what works
Yeah.
out. But appreciate you coming on, Coach. We
Okay.
wish you guys the best of luck, not just with the tournament next week, but also with the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you guys and what you do for kids, and you do it the right way. So thanks a lot for getting the word out there, and you guys be safe too, and have a great Christmas, and hope to catch up when we're down there.
Good
You
luck,
too,
Coach.
Coach.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, always good to talk with Coach, and always good with the Cactus Classic. It's we know we've had the two out east here, around the Thanksgiving Classic, and this one always a fun one on the backside of the finals week as teams head into their Christmas break here. So good matchups going to be up this week. I know we'll probably talk about several of them next week, but. Coach, I know you'll probably be watching some of those as well, and we have some other good ones this week as well.
Yeah, no, we do. I mean, I highlighted a couple of the ones I'm really interested in already, as we are talking a few minutes ago before Coach there. Is that Northwestern at Morningside on Wednesday, and then Lords heading over to Indiana Wesleyan. Again, not necessarily a you know top matchup, but two really good teams that are both tournament teams. I think Indiana Wesleyan will figure it out by the end of the year, even though they're off to a slow start. So those two games for sure this week for me catch my eye.
Yeah, like I said, they're going to be adding a
Yeah.
piece too that I think will help them out, and at least add some depth to them too, and yeah, you'd never count Indiana Wesleyan out, so yeah, they'll be
No, but
fine. And
it is amazing. I mean, it tells you how good these leagues are and teams are this year. I can't remember the last time I looked up and saw Indian Wesleyan sitting at 0-3 in the league, and those guys are awesome. They do a tremendous
yeah,
job. They're always one of the best teams in the country, and I think when we're talking about parity, that there is just pointing to parity in and of itself. I mean, perennial powerhouse team, not totally on the ropes, but they got to come out swinging here as they move through these next few weeks and hang on to because you get too far behind in that league, it's hard to catch up.
yeah, and that they need that win on Saturday. It was a big one because Spring
Yeah,
Arbor had been playing great basketball, and
absolutely. It's huge.
yeah, if they would have lost that one, they would to go 4. It would have been huge uphill battle. I'm not saying that they couldn't have done it, but they needed that one for sure. And but yeah, so we'll see what they can do coming out of that one as well, and see if they can write some momentum. But yeah, I mean, I think outside of the Cactus Classic, like we talked about, Montana Tech playing back-to-back games against Arizona Christian and the Masters. Obviously, you gotta like those matchups. We'll see where the rankings play. I would still say that probably both of those will be top 10 matchups, probably even maybe possible top 5 matchups, depending on where Masters is at. I know they lost this past weekend, um, but they still have a win over College of Idaho, and I still think that they're pretty dang good. So,
Oh yeah.
um, but even outside of that, some of these games, I really am looking interested in this Columbia at William Woods game. AMC matchup. Columbia is starting to play good basketball. They were, just outside of the top 25 receiving votes to start the year. Didn't start off the year like they wanted to either. William Woods has been receiving votes, on and off throughout the year in the rankings, and it's a conference matchup, and I think that William Woods being at home, probably needs to win this one, but. This is a AMC matchup that I have my eye on a little bit, just because when you're talking about possible at-large, bids, from if William Woods is gonna, not be able to get an auto bid, these are the type of games they gotta have to make sure they lock up here. So, Interested in that one. And then, like you said, Indiana Wesleyan at the end of the week, a big trip to Florida. I believe Bethel also has a big trip to Florida coming up if not this week, early next week too. But so some of these interconference matchups that are coming up. I know there's the 17th, so I think there's the following week. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that one's a fun one. And then there's another one. I'll give another smaller one. That since we talked about some bigger ones, but actually I'll give one. But Tougaloo Talladega. I'm interested in
Yeah.
that one. I think that's a fun one. Both playing good basketball again, and Tougaloo again. Another team that's started off the year. I think right at 500, but they played Freed Hardeman, and I mean they would challenge themselves early. But they're starting to play good basketball in Talladega. They're a team that has I believe they have a Division One win. I would say top 25. They have a Division One win, and then they've had a couple other wins. So I'm interested in that game. And then there's one more, and I'll give it. It's a Sooner Athletic Conference between MACU and Oklahoma City. Two teams that were top 25 or fringe top 25 early in the year. And I imagine that Oklahoma City probably, even though they have two top, depending on where Oklahoma Wesleyan slides to in the poll too. Oklahoma City has wins over the Masters and Oklahoma Wesleyan. But they're probably a team that maybe slides out of the polls this week too. So just the two teams in MACU and Oklahoma City looking for wins to help their resume as well here. So
Yeah, well, in that KCAC league, like I said, that league is a little bit confusing at this point in terms of what I mean. Yeah, you'll see a couple this week. I think Oklahoma Wesleyan plays Southwestern, right? Which you're talking about a fourth, fifth place in that league, but it's like Oklahoma Wesleyan can't afford to lose too many more of those league games without eyebrows going up too much, right? And you got, a team we rarely, if ever, talk about, Sterling, right? Sterling plays Ottawa, right? Second, third place team, but hey, Sterling already beat Oklahoma Wesleyan. Ottawa's sitting at whatever it is, 8-2 in that league. If they knock them off, I mean, I think that's a team you got to start talking about a little bit as well. No matter, historically haven't been there so much, but hey, if they get a couple of good wins under their belt, you got to start talking about them at some point. So
yeah, and I believe Oklahoma Wesleyan goes to Southwestern and then to Bethel this week. So
yeah, better figure it out.
Yep. Yeah.
Coach Prospect better figure it out up there, but he will.
Yeah, no time to sulk either, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what we talk about this several times on the podcast. The good teams, you don't have really time to worry about one loss, and then the good teams, usually don't. They find a way, and we'll see what happens this week. There's a lot of teams that are in a similar boat. They're or similar boat. They're again, it's maybe too early for desperation, but they definitely are in search of wins, and not search of wins. Oklahoma Wesleyan is desperate for wins, but it's still a big week for them because two tough road wins or two tough road games. A split would still be good for them, but 0-2 definitely puts them behind the 8 ball for their goals of winning a KCAC championship for sure. So
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it'll be a fun week.
Yep, fun week ahead as always, and I know. Like I said, good luck to everybody on finals. I know those are the first and foremost the priority for everybody, and the basketball will be secondary for a lot of people. So good luck to those coaches out there as well who have to navigate this entire week for that as well. But until next week, this is Coach Lubbers Jr. signing off.